Hey guys, it's Raga Mandala and welcome back to another episode of Career Corner, the show where we talk to various career professionals, learn about their experiences, and figure out what career may be right for us. So, what's common between a travel consultant, a Zumba instructor, and an ice cream store owner? My guest today, Allison Sodha. She's a very successful entrepreneur and so much more. She's the president of Sodha Travel. She's a Zumba instructor with an immense fan base in the community. She's also the owner of Cup & Cone, a neighborhood store that kids and adults alike cannot get enough of. Allison is also an eloquent writer. Several of her pieces have been featured in popular travel magazines. From organizing marches to delivering ice cream to those making a difference in the community, Allison is a natural leader with a heart of gold. Did I mention that she's a mother of 3, including a toddler? Please welcome Allison Sodha to the show so she can tell us how many more hours she has in a day than us. Allison, welcome to Career Corner.
Thank you, Raga. Thanks for that lovely introduction.
So, Allison, I've known you for a very long time, since I was about 4, when Alexander and I were in that dance performance together. I don't remember ever seeing you without that beautiful smile on your face. How are you able to do so much and yet always stay upbeat and positive?
Well, that's a great question, Raga. I just always have followed my joy. I feel that if you create a life, whether professionally or personally, where you're engaged in experiences and causes that fill your cup, then you always have the energy and the positivity and the optimism because it's something that you love. A lot of times I hear people say at the end of the day that they're drained. You know, I'm so tired, I'm exhausted. And I've always felt that if you're drained and exhausted, it's because your energy isn't going to things that fill you up. It's going out in the other way. And so if you are, like I said, doing things and creating and connecting in a way that makes you joyful and allows you to share that with others in the community, then it's a win-win for all.
That's so inspiring, Allison. I want to start by talking to you about your first business venture, Sodha Travel. Can you take us through the time when you decided to start this business? What inspired you? And is this something you always dreamt about as a kid?
So I always had an affinity for India particularly and South Asia. My father was a commercial airline pilot, so we did grow up traveling the world, and we were very lucky in that regard because we were exposed to so much at such an early age. And I knew as I went to college and I had to declare my major, I wanted it to be in something that I was truly passionate about, something I wanted to really learn when I'm at school. You know, you're spending all this money and all this time in higher education. You want it to be towards something that you really are passionate about. So I decided to pursue my degree in religions of India, and my specification was in Hinduism. And then I ended up getting a minor in history, and it ended up being in Indian history post-independence, so post-1947. So I always just had this connection to the country, and even though I did not actually visit till after college, I felt that I wanted to work in some way in the travel industry. I considered perhaps becoming a flight attendant. I wasn't really ever on the pilot track, but I wanted to think about what I could do. And it was my husband, Parth, who actually suggested that, hey, you know what, you have all of this knowledge and expertise for this region. At that time, I was writing for various publications, and I was a correspondent on present day India for Little India magazine. And so he said, why don't you fuse these two passions that you have of travel and also of the Indian subcontinent and create, a company and go ahead and offer the services that way. So that was really the seed that was planted that sparked Sodha Travel. And then it really just grew organically because when I was thinking about what type of travel company I wanted to have, I wanted to make it very specialized, very personalized. And that's why we decided to create only custom and private itineraries. And we started with just the Indian subcontinent, so India, Nepal, Sri Lanka, Bhutan, and then we eventually expanded to some other destinations like Vietnam, Thailand, Cambodia. But we still wanted to keep that specialty of South Asia because that's our expertise, right? That's our knowledge. And we want to be able to impart that to our clients. And so we've been, it's been a blast. Lots of opportunities for growth and connection. And we just celebrated our 13th anniversary in June. And so thank you. It's really been, it's just brought tremendous joy.
Wow, that's an amazing story. One does not magically wake up to a successful business. I'm sure you had to build it brick by brick. Did you face any roadblocks during this process?
Oh, absolutely. You know, anytime that you are building any type of business or brand, you're going to encounter lots of growing pains, you know, and I heard a friend say once that being an entrepreneur is jumping off a cliff and building your wings on the way down. And as you go, you're going to experience lots of trials and tribulations to find out if you end up hitting the ground or if you soar. And I believe that if your dedication and your determination goes above everything else, then you will succeed. You just need to believe in yourself. And whenever we would come across these challenges in our business, we would always go back to, okay, what is our sole purpose and philosophy of why we're doing this? And usually that always provided a solution to what could otherwise be a fairly tremendous challenge, you know? So whether it's from understanding your clientele to creating partnerships with people that we've had to sever because it ended up not being what we thought they were, to understanding our own limitations and where we need to hire more or how we need to restructure our company. All of that has provided tremendous opportunity for growth. But when you're in it, it can feel really hard.
Thanks for sharing this. Okay, so Cup and Cone. The store is vibrant and inviting. The elephant mascot Avni is very tastefully chosen and decorated. And the ice creams, cakes, boba teas are all amazingly delectable. Bethany residents simply cannot imagine the neighborhood without Cup and Cone in it. What inspired this magic?
Oh, thank you. So a couple years ago, we had the opportunity to open an ice cream shop, and it really was primarily my husband's venture, even though it now is a family business. And he knew that he wanted to own a business and that he wanted it to be in Bethany because we love this community so much. So we wanted to live here, work here, plant roots here. So we ended up launching, Cup and Cone and we wanted it to reflect us as a family. And so since we are working in the travel industry, we wanted to create global flavors where people could be introduced to some of these ingredients and philosophies of destinations abroad. So basically we wanted to bring a little bit of overseas back here to Portland. And then we also knew on top of that we wanted to create a line that was premium and natural with no artificial ingredients, no preservatives, no corn syrups. We want to feel that if we're giving this to our children and to ourselves, we wanted to make a sweet treat as healthy and as good for you as possible, but also having a narrative, right, to what you're eating. Having you come in and learn about why rose cardamom, right? Why mango pistachio, and why cherry blossom, and why limoncello and balsamic vinegar. And so we wanted to really bring in some unique flavors, and we have lovingly been received and welcomed by the community and beyond. And it's been a privilege to be featured now and on news channels and in publications who are spotlighting, our mission and philosophy, which is, kindness plus sweetness equals nice cream.
Yeah, I really enjoy seeing the monthly themes at the shop.
Thank you.
I wanted to talk about the project Nice Cream you pioneered this summer. At a time when most small businesses are struggling to make ends meet, you're going out of your way to thank the good Samaritans of the community with free pints of ice cream. What made you embark on Project Nice Cream?
I think it started from just this desire, this very deep desire to want to help. I think that when all this was happening, many of us felt hopeless. Our foundation that was typically very strong was starting to crumble. And the only way for me that I know to make me feel better is by helping others, by reaching out and going, okay, you know what? I actually get filled up a little bit more when I see you thriving and happy. And so I wanted to create an initiative or a project where we were able to give what we can. You know, what can we do from an ice cream shop? Well, we can give ice cream, right?
Yeah.
And for the most part, ice cream makes people happy. So there were so many people at that time that were doing such incredibly thoughtful and selfless acts, from essential workers to people who were going above and beyond to help the community. And I just thought, you know what better way than to just thank them with some ice cream.
Project Ice Cream was one of the most inspiring ones I saw on TV.
Thank you.
In your mind, what educational foundation, if any, is necessary to be a successful entrepreneur?
So education is very important, but I think education can be defined in a variety of ways. I think it's not necessarily just academic. One of the reasons, for example, that we travel so much is because we feel that global education is just as important for our children. The values that they learn when they're abroad, from patience to tolerance, connecting with people, understanding the challenges and the daily lives of others in this world, really helps shape your mind to think in a very global perspective, right? And so that's really important. And so, you know, my educational background was studying Indian religion and Indian history, because that is something that was very, fulfilling for me, and I was able to get a lot out of that. But at the same time, my personal experiences traveling and being abroad and meeting people and hearing their stories, that has really influenced me just as much as what I've learned in a textbook. And I think it's important to pursue things in life out that aren't just with a degree. And it really depends, I think, on what you're planning to do in your career. If it's something that might, where it will benefit from having an MBA or a doctorate, where it's that type of industry, then you absolutely should consider it. You know, for my type of career as a travel consultant, having that personal experience was just as important, if not more, than what I would be learning, right, in a book, because I need to be able to convey and communicate those experiences to my clients. And when it comes to owning the ice cream shop, you know, my husband, his background is he was an analyst for many years, whether it was a financial analyst or a business analyst. So he brought some of that experience in when we were creating, our business plan and the blueprint for our shop. So I think it's really diversified. You know, the opportunities are based on personal interests, but I think that it's important to remember that education isn't just academic. It can be in many shapes and forms.
Yeah. Thanks, Allison. That's so insightful. The travel and food industries are hit the hardest by COVID. What specific measures have you taken to keep your business afloat during these times of such adversity?
Believing in yourself, believing in your product. And you're right, these are the two industries that have been most affected with the pandemic. And I have had essentially no business at all with Sodha Travel since March. So it's been about 6 months now, which has been an absolute challenge. But at the same time, I cannot choose my circumstances, but I can choose how I respond to those circumstances. And so I can instead say, okay, when this is over, how do I want Sodha Travel to be? What changes can we make during this time to make it better than it was before? You know, this is an opportunity where we actually have time to grow our YouTube channel, make more videos, go over and create brochures, really have thoughtful discussions about partnerships that we're creating in the region. So instead of waking up every day feeling frightened or anxious or upset at what the current environment is, I can just, pivot. I like to say you pivot a little bit, and then you can ultimately decide, how do you want to make your day and how do you want to fill your cup? And I'm doing that with Sodha Travel by staying consistent and busy with little projects. At the same time with Cup and Cone, we've said, okay, we really believe that we have a good product. The community tells us overwhelmingly that we have a good product. So we know that that's there. We just need to maybe change some business ways that we conduct business to be open to everybody. So, maybe that's going to be now curbside pickup or more delivery options of our product, right? So that we can make sure that we still stay connected and accessible to the community, and ultimately believing in yourself.
I love how you're so positive. You organized a neighborhood march earlier this summer involving families and local law enforcement personnel to bring some of the most burning issues in our community to light. It's especially heartening to see you involve kids so intimately in this endeavor. What an amazing role model you are for all of us. Allison, please share with us why this march was so important to you.
So I very firmly believe that human rights are a nonpartisan issue. And when it comes to Black Lives Matter or to people of color or to indigenous communities, they absolutely are marginalized. And sometimes when we live in this really privileged bubble, we forget that there are our neighbors, our friends, our colleagues are being profoundly affected by what's happening around them. And for those that don't live that day in and day out, it's really hard to understand. And so I wanted to try to create a really open platform where we could all engage in a dialogue and also make it accessible to children. You, Raga, and all of these kids who are growing up now, you are ushering in this next generation of change. And I believe if we start with making sure that our children at a young age understand this idea of inclusivity and equality, then that is the change that will be brought in this world. So organizing the march was really important for me personally, because I wanted my own children to understand, that this is not, even though they may not experience it or see it every day, that it is absolutely in our society. And I want them to have an understanding of it from very young. So that's why I wanted to organize this march. And we had an incredible response from the community. And it's also launched an initiative now where every quarter we're going to be meeting with local law enforcement and asking the community to come together so that we can have an open conversation, answer questions. I think that there's often been this limitation where we feel like we can't connect with law enforcement or we can't understand things that are happening on the other side. But the first step in that is dialogue.
Yeah, I was at the march and it was a very enriching experience for me too.
Oh, that's good to hear.
Finally, what keeps you going as an entrepreneur? What advice do you have for kids that are aspiring to be a successful small business owner?
So, being a business owner, it takes grit and tenacity and dedication. And there are going to be times when you wake up and question if this was the right path that you are on. And that's why it's so important to follow your heart. There's lots of times we're told what we should be doing, how much money we should be making, what title we should have, right? And it's not about that, in my opinion. At the end of the day, it's about following your joy, staying balanced, connecting with people, sharing kindness. And that might not be someone else's philosophy. Someone else might have a skill set that creates something else in the technological world, in the medical field, in the arts. And so I think it's just really important that if you're choosing to become a business owner, you give your whole life to it. It's not just something you can shut off at 5 o'clock at the end of the day. It stays with you 24/7. So it's absolutely imperative that it's something that you're really passionate about, because that's what's going to sustain you.
Allison, thank you so much for being on my show. There is so much to learn from your entrepreneurial experience as well as your compassionate personality.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for having me. This was so much fun.
Thank you so much for all your inspiration, Allison.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hey there, this is Allison Sodha, the president of Sodha Travel and co-owner at Cup & Cone. Please subscribe to Raga's Fun Kitchen.